Good evening. I'm Stacey Amos for News Channel 8, and these are the top stories we have for you tonight. A live radio interview with presidential hopeful Mitt Romney. Evelyn Williams Elementary recognizes some special students, and Apple announces its new iPad. These stories and more are up next for you on News Channel 8. In our top story tonight, Republican presidential hopeful Mitt Romney spoke live in an interview earlier today with former Senator Holland Redfield.
We are honored to have you here in the United States Virgin Islands by radio, and we're also covering this on Channel 8 News TV. Let me speak to some specific issues. As you know, we are American citizens, and in many cases, we feel like we are second-class citizens. And we go to the issues like, for instance, SSI, different programs that are offered to, again, residents and citizens of the United States where we are eliminated. We are not getting the same treatment. It is my hope when you are president, if you are elected president, you will take these things into consideration.
I will be happy to do that. I don't want to be out there making promises, not having studied an issue in depth, but I certainly will give it a real consideration. And you know, we've been coming for years into the Virgin Islands and care about the community. And I knew your former governor, as I served as governor in Massachusetts, and
sure.
So I'm inclined to be of as much help as I can be.
My major concern is accessibility to you. Our territories are really handicapped. And an open door policy with issues that are directly impacting us is critical. We are going through an economic crisis here in the territory. Our energy costs are at about almost 44 cents per kilowatt. We have an unemployment rate which could exceed in July to roughly about maybe 20 to 25%. And we just lost our largest refinery here, the only refinery here. And we are on our knees.
My goodness. I mean, that's happening all over the country. It seems that the EPA has as its objective closing off the energy resources in our own country and making us more reliant on foreign sources and more reliant on solar and wind. And solar and wind is fine, except it's not going to power our economy. It certainly doesn't power our automobiles.
Thoughts basically with assisting us thinking about the logistical location and U.S. foreign policy in this region.
Well, you know, I happen to believe that it's important for America to project our power throughout the world. I also happen to believe that a strong Navy is essential to that mission. I know there are some who are comfortable with the idea of shrinking our Navy. Our Navy is now smaller than any time since 1917. And the president has pulled back on shipbuilding. We're now down to 9 ships per year. I want to increase that to 15 ships per year. I want to have at least 11 aircraft carrier task forces around the world. So I'm expecting to have a very strong and muscular Navy, and how the Virgin Islands might play a role in that effort is something beyond my expertise at the current moment. But I can assure you that if I'm president and we sit down with and are briefed by the leaders of our naval strategy, I will certainly have great interest in making sure that places that are home to Americans are the places where we do our very best to care for jobs and to station our military might.
And we'd like to thank the producers of Straight Talk with Redfield for that footage. In other news, the CPS Division of Licensing and Consumer Affairs kicked off National Consumer Protection Week earlier today with an open house.
And in addition to National Weights and Measures Week, which is March 1 through 7. And so here in Licensing and Consumer Affairs, we combined the two this year. And we've been going into the schools promoting what we do for a living, specifically in consumer protection. We're the people who try to make sure that there's equity in the marketplace, that the business community and the consuming public are on the same page. In weights and measures, our job is to make sure that any commercial transaction in the territory based on weight or measure takes place accurate and correct. And in a nutshell, it means that weights and measures, the guys who go out to the gas pumps and make sure that when they say it's a gallon, it really is a gallon.
That's right.
They go out into the stores, into the roadside vendors, make sure that when the scale says a pound, it in fact is a pound.
And it's always important, but especially during these times, it's even more important to ensure that everything is as accurate as possible, right?
Absolutely. The national motto throughout Weights and Measures says that equity may prevail. And practically every good or service that's sold in the marketplace is weighed or measured at some point in time. And of course, when there is not complete agreement between the vendor and the consumer, then the Consumer Protection Division comes in to represent the consuming public on their behalf. They go to the business and see if they can solve whatever the issue is.
And you're also educating our littlest consumers. You've been out with schools helping them understand what kind of things the Licensing and Consumer Affairs Division does.
Absolutely, because as we all know, that the earlier we start, then the better the community is overall. And it's surprising how aware the young people are too. They had very meaningful, relevant questions. And my favorite, of course, is always the complaint with the Cheetos bag. They open the bag, there are only a few Cheetos here in the bottom, and they don't realize that that's only done so that the bag is pumped with air and sealed so that it doesn't crush the chips inside. And I make sure that they're aware that it's their responsibility as a consumer, though, to read the label on that package. It tells you exactly how much is in there. It's not that anyone's trying to fool you. If it's a 2-ounce package, it says 2 ounce on the outside. And I also tell the young people, if they get in the habit of reading the label and doing the math, they'll be ahead of a lot of adults. Many of us do not read the label and do the math.
Give me an example of the kind of things you're teaching our kids.
Like the same thing, these cans are the same standard size. So people that just go and just take it up, they don't really watch for how much ounces are in there. They think everything is 16 because it's a standard size, but you have 7 ounce, 9 ounce, and the price doesn't match up. I mean, it could be less or more for the pound.
Right.
Same thing with the scale. I have to go and check these scales, put a stick on it to make sure it's accurate. It has to be on 0 before I test it. I have to test it for every pound to 20 pounds, and if it's correct, I put a stick on it. Which if it's not correct, I put the red sticker. That means it's not good for use. The green one is approved, that means that it's accurate. And the yellow is when you go to the supermarket and you want to go by the vegetable and you see the hanging scale, that's to estimate, that's just to give you an estimate. When you go to the counter now, the scale at the counter is commercial, that's for sale, and that's where you get your prices.
And those colors are pretty easy, they're just like our traffic lights, so that's a good designation of what is and what isn't.
Yes, definitely. So when you see this red sticker on a scale like this or the platform, don't use it. Something is wrong, it's either too much error and it needs to be calibrated. So we put a sticker, don't use it. Once you see this green sticker, it's approved, it's accurate, and that's my job.
And aren't we lucky to be here with Mr. Arthur Urgent and Mr. Archie Corvette, who help us in licensing and consumer affairs to ensure that we're always paying the right price at the right time. We'd like to thank Archie Corbett and Arthur Urgent for that informative interview. Now, 4 special students were recognized at Evelyn Williams Elementary School earlier today.
Students will be given the pin and award certificate for their hard work. We're going to start with Doris Bird. Next, we have Joshua Francis. Next, we have Ezekiel Ortiz. And last, we have Simeon, 90.
And I want to thank the parents because teachers cannot do it alone. The encouragement comes from you. The extra help comes from you. The extra dedication comes from you. The teachers who spend umpteen hours, not just the hours that they are in school, but the hours that they spend after school preparing the specific areas for specific children. this is not an easy task. And today we see some of the fruits of what they're doing.
We'd like to thank Earl Morris for that footage. Did you know Thursday is International Women's Day, and the Department of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault has planned a special event for tomorrow.
We've got at least 2 events this week. One where we are doing our recognizing International Women's Day on Thursday, and on both islands. We're asking people to come out at noon. Our theme this year is World Peace Begins at Home. And so we're having a walk for justice, because even though we can recognize the achievements of women in positions and in business and in nonprofit leaders, the reality is, as long as one woman or one girl is not protected in our society, then all of us are going to suffer. So we are asking for a walk for justice. We will have a short program. On St. Croix, we're going from the corner of Central High School, and we're walking down to the Superior Court on the other side of the street. And in St. Thomas, we're walking from Emancipation Gardens down to the Superior Court steps.
What time does this take place?
It will take place at noon, and it will be during lunch hour, so people can come out and they can join us and try to get them back to job on time. But we're asking all women and any men who support women. Our concern is for the health and safety of women and girls here in our society. When women set better examples and provide activities for girls and link with girls in that sisterhood, we're thinking that they're going to have a brighter future. So it's really important to us that we emphasize the role of women in our community.
Absolutely.
And then on Saturday, there's a teen summit. We're partnering with Delta Sigma Theta and the University Women's Coalition and DVSAC, and we're asking the teens, any young girls 12 and older, to come out. It is going to be at the University St. Croix campus Great Hall. And we're asking them to come out and hear our information. We are concerned for them. We want them to have brighter futures. We want them to have a really good quality of life. And we think that they need some guidance and some information that will help them. We're into prevention education, all of the groups, and we're very concerned about what's happening with girls here in the territory. So we are hoping that people will come out and enjoy these events. It's a simple way to recognize something, especially when we're talking about a lot of negativity. But the reality is we want to support women and girls here in the territory. We want them to achieve all the potential that they can.
That's right. So show your support. Both of these walks on Thursday, March 8th or Saturday, March 10th. Peace starts at home. In case it rains, the walk will be relocated to the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Office in Barron Spot. When we come back, it's your news from around the region. Stanford is convicted, and Trinidad and Tobago wants to lend a helping hand to Grenada. Those stories and more for you in the Caribbean Report. In business from Antigua, on Tuesday, March 6th, Alan Stanford was found guilty of conspiracy and fraud charges by a federal jury for leading a $7 billion Ponzi scheme from his offshore bank in Antigua. A jury found Stanford, whose net worth was once estimated at more than $2 billion, guilty on 13 counts of a 14-count criminal indictment. Kate Freeman, spokesperson for the Stanford International Victims Group, said, quote, "Most of the people that he stole from were retired, and they have no chance of ever recovering the money that they lost, and they will never recover from what happened to them." In business from Grenada, it's Trinidad and Tobago's opposition leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, who wants his country's government to help avoid a possible economic collapse in Grenada. Dr. Rowley has made a call for action from his government against the backdrop of Grenada's indebtedness to Taiwan, an issue that recently threatened the closure of Grenada's Maurice Bishop International Airport in St. George's. He said if the economy of Grenada or any Caribbean country was being hurt, it was as good as hurting the economy in Tobago or Trinidad because, quote, "that is our market." An American court has upheld an injunction filed by the Bank of Taiwan, who is demanding full and immediate payment of an outstanding debt owed by Grenada. But because of an order from the court, airline and cruise ship fees normally paid to Grenada's Airport and Port Authority are now being deposited into an escrow account in the U.S. In sports from Jamaica,
Digicel recently launched a massive regional campaign inviting customers to be a part of its TV and press advertising alongside Digicel brand ambassador and the world's fastest man, Usain Bolt. Bolt said about the campaign, "What we want is people just taking pictures of themselves in all kinds of running shots from all across the Caribbean. It's going to be a great ad." The campaign is meant to symbolize the idea of Caribbean people uniting behind Usain in his pursuit for glory at the Olympics, which takes place this summer in London. In sports from Dominica, Dominican boxers heading to the London Olympics are expected to get a major boost after the British-based Wolverhampton Amateur Boxing Club decided to open its doors to offer training. Among the first to get training will be 26-year-old light middleweight Hughlette Lucian, who won Dominica's Golden Glove Championship in 2010. And in music from Puerto Rico, Sony Masterworks has announced the CD and DVD release of Yanni live at El Morro, Puerto Rico on April 17, 2012. They captured Yanni's 2 sold-out shows last December, which marked the first ever performance at the historic and beautiful 16th century Castillo San Felipe del Morro in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where he filmed 2 sold-out concerts for international and U.S. broadcasts on PBS.
Here's Judy Buckley with your weekly Crime Stoppers report.
This is Judy Buckley with your weekly Crime Stoppers report. Crime Stoppers is asking for your help to solve the following crimes. If you know something, say something. Even the smallest bit of information may be just what law enforcement needs to solve these cases. Now, the first 2 crimes I'm going to talk about, we actually brought you last week, but we're bringing to you again because police still need help in solving them. On St. Croix, our housing communities continue to be plagued by different various crimes. In particular, aluminum metal louvers are being stolen, electrical wiring, and the copper tubing that runs to your propane gas tanks, those are also being stolen. Police suspect that they're not being stolen by people who actually live in these communities. They're all being sold off as scrap metal. If you have any information about who may be doing these thefts or any other crimes occurring, call Crime Stoppers and let us know. On St. John, on Saturday, February 18th at about 6 a.m., the housekeeper for Villa Veneroso at number 17A-1 Enide was robbed by a male who came through the northern front door, demanded money from her, so she gave him $300 from her purse. But then he had the nerve to slap her across the face twice, and then he fled out through the same door. The suspect was barefooted, he was wearing short black pants, and a long black hoodie with a black shirt over his face. Again, if you have any information about this crime, call Crime Stoppers. And on St. Thomas, on February 24th, at about 6:35 p.m., police responded to reports of shots being fired at the Pearl M. Pearson Gardens community. And when they got there, they found a black male, who was lying partially under a truck. He had been shot all over his body and he was dead. While the police were at the scene, they also found out that there were 2 other male victims at the Roy Lester Schneider Hospital. Again, if you have any information about that crime, call Crime Stoppers. You can submit information on these or any other crimes by calling the number right there on your screen, 1-800-222-TIPS, or as always, you can log on to our website at www.crimestoppersusvi.org. If your information leads to an arrest or the recovery of any stolen property, including that scrap metal that I mentioned, illegal drugs or weapons, you will receive a cash reward to be paid according to your instructions. Crime Stoppers pays out $1,500 in cash for the arrest of a murder suspect, $714 in cash for the arrest of a burglar, and $900 in cash for the arrest of an armed robber. And we will pay out those rewards according to your instructions. This has been your weekly Crime Stoppers report.
And as always, if you know something, please say something. And Apple has just announced today the new iPad with a Retina display. It's a camera-ready 5-megapixel for pre-order today. Go to apple.com to find out more. And it's kids basketball up next for you in sports. Here's Stephen Koo Francis at the Juanita Gardine School with your Sports 411.
Thanks a lot, Stacy. Folks, you're looking at a picture of the Juanita Gardine girls basketball team who has just won the Interscholastic Championship. That's their 4th consecutive championship. I caught up with the girls at practice today and I spoke to the man who single-handedly turned around the Hurricanes basketball program, Coach Pereira.
Right now we have won our 4th consecutive IAA tournament, well not tournament but championship, St. Croix. We're going to go back to back. We're going to play St. Thomas probably March 23rd, anytime soon. But really and truly, I'm here for the girls to tell the community thanks a lot for coming out. Yes, our championship game was a hard one this time because all my 6th graders, they left, but hard work, hard dedication, these girls never gave up on me. And I'd like to say special thanks to, first of all, my assistant coach, Miss Phillips, supporting staff, even the principal. Thanks for, you know, helping us. And it's basically these girls, we traveled last year to Orlando and the Virgin Islands community make it happen. Special thanks without you guys, I couldn't make it. So thanks a lot. About the following upcoming events that we will be holding at Juanita Garden, we have one on actually this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's the Hurricane Invitational, the 2nd one, and you will have a chance to see the undefeated team 4 years in a row.
Now let's meet the championship MVP, Shamari Francis. How long you been playing basketball?
I'm 5 years old. My father used to train me, and Mr. Pierre, I used to help him out to help me train me, and Janaira, and my cousin named Shamoya Scatlett. And Mr. Pierre had to come out and help these youths, show them how to play basketball, and train them and show them the right way how to play basketball. Show them plays, show them how to lay up the ball, show them how to dribble. And we have some of them from third grade. Have one from 3rd grade. Her name is Janelle Francis, and she's trying to make it, and we sing called Virgin Islands champions.
Okay, all right. So what? Final question: what would you like to be when you grow up?
A professional NBA basketball player.
All right, man. You know, in order to get there, you gotta do what?
Do my schoolwork, get my education.
Folks, don't forget to go on and show your support to the tournament, man. That's a look at your Sports 41 update. I'm Stephen Francis for News Channel 8. Back to you, Stacy.